Welcome back. You've made it to part 2 of this amazing story. If you missed part 1, the link is in the description of this video. Go watch it now. Let's begin. Waiting. A sleek black Mercedes driver standing at attention. Dante handed me. Privacy screen between us and the driver was already up. Where are we going? I asked as the car pulled smoothly into traffic. My home, Dante said. I have questions for you, Emma, and you have questions for me. Better to have those conversations in private. I should have insisted on going somewhere public. Should have at least texted Sarah to let her know where I was. Instead, I settled back against the leather seat and watched the city lights blur past the window. Dante's presence beside me, feeling both dangerous and inevitable. The drive took 20 minutes, heading up town to a building I recognized as one of the most exclusive addresses in Manhattan. The doorman greeted Dante by name, eyes widening slightly when he saw me, but too professional to comment. Their elevator required a key to access the penthouse level. We rode up in silence, tension building with each floor we passed. Dante's penthouse was exactly what I'd expected, and nothing like it. At the same time, expensive, obviously, with floor-to-ceiling windows offering views of the city that probably cost more per month than I made in a year. But it wasn't ostentatious. The furniture was comfortable, lived in. Books lined one wall, actual books, well-worn and organized with a system. That suggested they were read regularly, not just for show. Art hung on the walls, but not the kind meant to impress guests. Personal pieces, photographs, a child's drawing framed like it was priceless. This isn't what I expected, I admitted, walking to the windows. What did you expect? Dante shrugged out of his suit jacket, draping it over a chair. He poured 2 glasses of amber liquid from a crystal decanter, handed one to me. Something more, I don't know, showy. Men who need to show off their wealth are compensating for other inadequacies, Dante said. I have nothing to prove. I sipped the drink. Whiskey, smooth and expensive, burning pleasantly down my throat. You said you had questions for me. I do. He settled onto the couch, and after a moment I joined him, careful to maintain a respectable distance. Why nursing? Pediatric ICU specifically. It wasn't what I'd expected. I'd thought he'd ask about Marcus, about my life, about whether I understood what I was getting into. My little brother was sick when we were kids. I said leukemia. He spent months in the hospital, and there was this one nurse, Sandra, who made everything less terrifying. She explained things in ways we could understand. Made my brother laugh even when he felt awful. Held my mother when she broke down. She made me want to be that person for other families going through the worst moments of their lives. Your brother? Dante asked gently. He survived. He's in college now, studying to be a teacher. Completely healthy, no lasting effects. We got lucky. That's good, Dante said, and I could tell he meant it. And your family? They know about your ex? My mother knows. She's devastated. Not because I'm heartbroken, but because Marcus came from good family. She'd already planned the wedding in her head. I laughed bitterly. She keeps calling to ask if I'm sure it's really over, if maybe I'm overreacting. Mothers can be complicated, Dante said. Mine passed away 5 years ago, but she had very specific ideas about what my life should look like, who I should marry, how I should conduct business. We disagreed frequently. I'm sorry, I said. About your mother, so am I. We just started to understand each other when she got sick. He paused. She would have liked you, she always said I needed someone who wasn't afraid to challenge me, who would see past the reputation to the man beneath. And do I asked. See? Past the reputation? I don't know yet, Dante said. Honestly, you know almost nothing about me except what I've told you in the last few hours. You're basing your decision to be here on instinct and attraction and possibly the desire to do something reckless after being hurt. Is that a bad thing? No, he said. But I need you to understand what staying means, what I am, what my life involves. You need to make an informed choice, Emma, not an impulsive one. Then inform me, I said, setting my glass down. Tell me exactly what I'm getting into. Dante studied me for a long moment, then nodded. My family came from Sicily 3 generations ago. We built businesses, legitimate and otherwise. We provide services that exist in the spaces between legal and illegal. Protection for businesses and neighborhoods the police ignore. Loans for people banks won't touch. Import channels for goods that are expensive to bring through traditional means. You're talking about loan sharking and smuggling, I said. Bluntly, among other things, he acknowledged. We also run legitimate restaurants, hotels, real estate holdings. But yes, there are aspects of the business that violate the law. I won't 40 insult your intelligence by pretending otherwise. Have you killed people? I wasn't sure I wanted the answer, but I needed to ask. Yes, again, no hesitation. In self-defense, in defense of my people, in situations where it was them or me. I'm not a psychopath, Emma. I don't take life lightly. But in my world, sometimes violence is unavoidable. I should have been running for the door. Instead, I found myself asking, "What do you want from me?" I don't know, he admitted. When you approached me tonight, I thought you were beautiful, desperate, and amusing. I was bored at that gala, and you offered a distraction. But then I kissed you, and something shifted. I found myself wanting to know more. Who you were, why you were hurting, what made you bold enough to ask a stranger for help. And now I'm trying to figure out if this feeling, this pull I have toward you is worth the complication it will bring to both our lives. He moved closer, his hand coming up to brush a strand of hair behind my ear. Because make no mistake, Emma, if you stay, if we pursue this, it will complicate everything. Your ex-boyfriend will be the least of your concerns. What do you mean? I mean that being with me puts a target on your back. Not everyone approves of my business practices. I have enemies, rivals, people who would love nothing more than to find a weakness they could exploit. Being connected to me, even casually, makes you a potential target. That's terrifying, I said. Honestly, it is, he agreed. Which is why I'm giving you the choice. Leave now, walk away, go back to your safe life. I'll make sure your ex never bothers you again. Ensure he returns any property or money that's rightfully yours, and we'll part as friendly strangers, or stay. Except that there's something between us worth exploring. Let me protect you while we figure out what this is, but understand that choosing me means accepting my world, my risks, my complications. I looked at him, really looked at him. This dangerous, powerful man who'd kissed me at a stranger's request, danced with me like I mattered, brought me to his home, and told me the truth, even though it would have been easier to lie. I'm terrified, I admitted, but I'm also more interested in you than I've been in anything in years. That probably makes me insane. Probably, Dante agreed, but he was smiling. But I find I appreciate a bit of insanity. If I do this, if I stay, I need ground rules, I said. My practical nursing brain kicking in despite the insanity of the situation. I won't lie. For you, I won't break the law. My career matters to me, and I won't do anything that would jeopardize my nursing license. Agreed. I need to maintain my own life, my apartment, my job, my friends. I won't disappear into your world completely. Agreed. Though I will insist on certain security measures. And we take this slow, I said. I just got out of a serious relationship. I'm not ready to jump into another one, especially not one this complicated. Dante's expression was unreadable. How slow? I don't know, but slower than showing up at your penthouse on the night we met. You're already at my penthouse on the night we met, he pointed out. Yes, which is why everything else needs to be slower, I countered. He laughed, a genuine sound that transformed his face. Fair enough. Slow on your terms with ground rules and boundaries. I can work with that. Really? I'd expected more pushback. Really, Emma? I'm not your ex. I don't need to control you or mold you into. Different from the women in my usual circles. You're honest, ethical, you care about people. Those qualities are rare in my world. I'm still not convinced this isn't insane. It probably is, Dante said, but sometimes the insane choices are the ones worth making. He stood, offering his hand. It's late. Let me have my driver take you home. I let him pull me to my feet, but I didn't release his hand. Thank you, I said, for tonight, for being honest with me. For giving me a choice. Thank you for the kiss, he replied, and for trusting me enough to come here to listen. We stood there for a moment, the air between us charged with possibility. Then Dante leaned down, his lips brushing my forehead in a gesture that was somehow more intimate than our earlier kiss. Go home, Emma, he murmured. Sleep on this. If you wake up tomorrow and decide this is too much, too crazy, I'll understand. But if you want to see where this goes, call me. He pressed a card into my hand. Thick cardstock with just a name and number. No business affiliation, no title, just Dante Salvatore and 10 digits. The drive back to my apartment felt surreal. The driver was silent, professional, and I spent the whole ride staring at the card in my hand, wondering what I'd gotten myself into. When I finally walked into my tiny studio, still wearing Sarah's borrowed dress, it was past midnight. I kicked off my heels and sat on my bed, pulling out my phone. 23 messages from Sarah. Increasingly frantic, asking where I was and if I was okay. I called her. She answered on the first ring. Emma, oh my God, I've been worried sick. You disappeared from the gala and didn't answer your phone. And I'm fine, I interrupted. I'm sorry I worried you. Something came up. Something or someone, Sarah asked suspiciously. You met a guy, didn't you? Please tell me you didn't go home with some random man at a charity gala. His name is Dante, I said, and I didn't go home with him, not in the way you're thinking, but you went somewhere with him. It wasn't a question. I told her everything. The kiss, the dinner, the dancing, Marcus's reaction, the conversation in Dante's penthouse. By the time I finished, Sarah was silent for a long moment. Emma, she finally said, Dante Salvatore? You went to the penthouse of Dante Salvatore, you know him? Everyone knows of him. Sarah said, or at least everyone in certain circles. Emma, he's not just some businessman. His family is connected. Like connected. Italian organized crime, protection rackets, the whole thing. He's been investigated multiple times, but nothing ever sticks because people are too afraid to testify against him. He told me all that. I said he was honest about what his business involves. And you're okay with that? I don't know. I admitted I'm processing. But Sarah, the way he looked at me, the way he treated me, it was like I mattered, like I was interesting and valuable and worth his time. When's the last time I felt that way? Sarah sighed. Marcus really did a number on you. Didn't he? Maybe. But this isn't just about Marcus. This is about me feeling alive for the first time in months, maybe years. Just be careful, Sarah said. Men like Dante, they're dangerous in ways that go beyond broken hearts. Promise me you'll be careful. I promise, I said, though I wasn't entirely sure what being careful meant in this context. After we hung up, I got ready for bed, going through the familiar routine of washing my face, brushing my teeth, setting out scrubs for tomorrow's shift. Normal things, grounding things. But my mind kept wandering back to Dante. The way his hand had felt on my back. His honesty about his life. The promise of protection, of being seen, of mattering to someone. I picked up the card from my nightstand, running my thumb over the embossed numbers. I could call right now, or I could wait until morning when I was rested and thinking clearly. Or I could throw the card away and pretend tonight never happened. I fell asleep with the card still in my hand, dreaming of dark eyes and dangerous smiles and the feeling of being held like I was something precious. I woke to my alarm at 6 a.m., grateful that I'd had the foresight to set it even in my questionable state last night. The card was still clutched. In my hand, the numbers already memorized, even though I'd only glanced at them once. My shift at the hospital started at 7, and I had 45 minutes to shower, dress, and get to Mount C. I moved through my morning routine on autopilot, my mind still processing everything from last night. In the bright light of day, the whole thing felt like a fever dream. Had I really kissed a stranger, gone to his penthouse, agreed to potentially date a man involved in organized crime? The rational part of my brain screamed that. I needed to throw the card away and forget Dante Salvatore existed. The rest of me remembered the way he'd made me feel seen, valued, safe, despite the obvious danger he represented. I was still debating with myself when I walked into the PICU for my shift. The unit was typically chaotic. 12 beds filled with critically ill children, monitors, beeping, worried parents hovering by bedsides. The particular controlled chaos that came with managing the sickest pediatric patients in the hospital. Emma, my colleague Lisa, grabbed me as soon as I walked through the doors. "Thank God you're here. It's been a nightmare night. We've got a new admission in bed 7 post-op cardiac repair. Still sedated but stable. Bed 3 is probably going to extubate today if his numbers hold. And bed 9. Mother has been asking for you specifically." I dove into work gratefully, letting the familiar rhythm of nursing tasks override my spinning thoughts about Dante. This was real. This mattered. Taking care of children who couldn't take care of themselves. Supporting families through the worst days of their lives. This was what I was good at. By lunchtime, I'd successfully helped extubate the patient in bed 3, watched him take his first independent breaths in 4 days, while his parents cried with relief. I'd sat with the mother in bed 9, holding her hand, while she talked about her fears, her hopes, her exhaustion. I'd carefully titrated medications for my post-op cardiac patient, monitoring every vital sign, adjusting ventilator settings, being the eyes and hands that kept a tiny heart beating. I was checking lab results on my computer when my phone buzzed. An unknown number, but I knew immediately who it was. "I hope you slept well. I've thought of nothing but you since you left. Would you have dinner with me tonight? Somewhere public, slow, on your terms." D. My heart did something complicated in my chest. I should have ignored it. Should have deleted the number and gone back to my safe, predictable life. Instead, I found myself typing, "I work until 7. Somewhere quiet. I don't think I can handle anywhere fancy tonight." His response came almost immediately. "I know a place. Small Italian restaurant in the village. Family run. Excellent. Food, privacy. I'll send a car for you at 7:30. I can take the subway. I know you can. But I'd prefer to ensure you arrive safely. Humor me." I stared at my phone, at this small negotiation that somehow felt significant. He wasn't demanding, wasn't insisting, just asking. Making his preference known, but leaving the choice to me. "Fine, but the car is excessive. Everything about me is excessive, Emma. You'll get used to it." I smiled despite myself, then caught Lisa watching me with raised eyebrows. "New guy?" she asked. "Maybe," I said. "It's complicated." "It's always complicated," Lisa said. "But you're smiling." "I haven't seen you smile like that in months. Whoever he is, I like him already." If only she knew. The rest of my shift passed in a blur. By the time 7 o'clock rolled around, I was exhausted in the way only a 12-hour ICU shift could make you. But I was also buzzing with anticipation. I changed out of my scrubs in the locker room, pulling on jeans and a soft blue sweater, running my fingers through my hair, and hoping I didn't look as tired as I felt. The black Mercedes was waiting outside the hospital exactly at 7:30. Same driver as last night, same. Professional courtesy. He opened the door for me and I slid into the back seat, feeling like I was stepping into an alternate universe where cars waited for me and dangerous men sent messages. About thinking of nothing else, the restaurant Dante had chosen was everything he'd promised, small, tucked away on a quiet street in the village, the kind of place you'd walk past 100 times without noticing. The exterior was understated, just a small sign in Italian script and warm light glowing through the windows. Dante was waiting outside, dressed more casually than last night. Dark jeans, a gray sweater that probably cost more than my entire wardrobe, leather jacket that looked worn and comfortable. He looked less like a businessman and more like something out of a magazine spread. Dangerous and beautiful in equal measure. "You came," he said as I approached, and I heard genuine relief in his voice, like he'd actually worried I wouldn't show. "I said I would. Many people say things they don't mean," Dante said. "I'm learning that you're not one of them." He opened the restaurant door, his hand settling at the small of my back as he guided me inside. The interior was cozy, maybe 10 tables, all occupied by what looked like regulars. The scent of garlic and tomato sauce and fresh bread filled the air. An older woman behind the bar looked up as we entered, her face breaking into a smile. "Dante," she came around the bar, and to my surprise, Dante bent to kiss both her cheeks. Exchanging rapid Italian that I couldn't follow, she turned to me, her eyes warm and assessing. "And this is Emma," Dante said. "Emma, this is Sophia. She and her husband Antonio own this restaurant. I've been coming here since I first moved to New York." "Beautiful," Sophia said, patting my cheek. "Much better than those others you bring here. This one has kind eyes." She bustled off, still muttering in Italian, and Dante led me to a corner table, semi-private, but still part of the restaurant's warm atmosphere. "Others?" I asked as we sat. "Sophia has opinions about my dating history," Dante said dryly. "She believes I waste time with unsuitable women." "And am I suitable?" He looked at me, and I felt the weight of his gaze. "I think you might be the most suitable woman I've ever met, which is terrifying." Before I could respond, Sophia reappeared with wine and bread, setting them on the table with a stream of Italian directions to Dante, who nodded and responded in kind. "She's bringing us the special," he translated. "Whatever Antonio made tonight that she thinks we should eat. I hope you don't mind." "I don't mind." I took a piece of bread, still warm, and bit into it. "Perfect. This is nice. Quiet, normal." "Is that disappointing?" Dante asked. "You were probably expecting something more dramatic after last night." "Honestly, I don't know what I expected," I admitted. "This is all so far outside my experience. I've never dated anyone connected to, well, anything illegal." "We're not dating," Dante pointed out. "This is just dinner between two people who are attracted to each other and trying to figure out if there's something worth pursuing beyond attraction." "Is there?" I asked. "Tell me something real about yourself, Dante. Something that has nothing to do with your business or your reputation. Something that's just you." He considered this, sipping his wine. "I read," he finally said obsessively. "Fiction mostly, though I'll read anything well written. When I was young, books were escape. My father wanted me to follow in his footsteps, to be hard and ruthless, to see the world only in terms of power and territory. But my mother loved literature, poetry, stories. She'd read to me at night, even when I was too old for bedtime stories. Dante's Inferno, obviously." He smiled slightly. "But also Shakespeare, Homer, modern fiction. She taught me that there was more to life than the business, that a man could be both strong and thoughtful." "She sounds wonderful," I said softly. "She was, and stubborn. When my father tried to pull me out of school to work Full time for the family, she threatened to leave him. Actually packed bags and everything. He backed down. She's the only person I've ever seen make him back down from anything. Do you miss her? Every day. His honesty was disarming. She's been gone 5 years, and I still find myself wanting to call her when something happens, good or bad. Still, hear her voice in my head telling me to think before I act, to lead with strength, but temper it with wisdom. Sophia returned with plates, and conversation paused as she served us what looked like homemade ravioli in a butter sage sauce, followed by perfectly cooked chicken with roasted vegetables. It was simple food elevated to art through quality ingredients and obvious skill. Now you, Dante said as we ate. Tell me something real about you, not Nurse Emma or ex-girlfriend Emma, just Emma. I thought about it. I paint, I said badly, probably, but I love it. Watercolors mostly. I have a little setup in my apartment, just a corner with a folding table and supplies. When I can't sleep, when my brain won't shut off after a difficult shift, I paint. Abstract things, mostly colors and shapes and feelings rather than anything recognizable. It's the only time my mind goes quiet. I'd like to see your work. Sometime, Dante said. It's really not good, I protested. I don't care if it's good, I care that it's yours. That it's something you create when you need peace. That tells me more about who you are than any polished portfolio ever could. We talked through dinner, conversation, ranging from books we'd read to places we'd traveled to, childhood memories, and embarrassing moments. Dante told me about growing up in Sicily, swimming in the Mediterranean, stealing figs from a neighbor's tree. I told him about summers at my grandmother's house upstate, failed attempts to learn the piano, my brother's cancer diagnosis and recovery. It felt normal, which was perhaps the strangest part, sitting in this tiny Italian restaurant with a man connected to organized crime, discussing every day. Strangest part, sitting in this tiny Italian restaurant with a man connected to organized crime, discussing every day.